You line up the perfect shot on a pool table, strike the cue ball dead center into a stationary 8-ball, and bam! They don't just roll forward in a straight line, do they? No, they scatter completely across the felt in totally different directions. But how can we actually predict exactly where they're going to go? By the end of this explainer, you're going to understand the physics of 2D collisions, the conservation of momentum formulas behind them, and exactly how to apply these rules to predict everything from a game of billiards to the movement of subatomic particles.
We're going to break this down into 5 quick parts: the 2D collision problem, splitting our x and y axes, solving a real collision, the incredibly cool 90-degree pool rule, and finally, how we take this from billiards all the way to atoms.
Part 1. The 2D collision problem, beyond the straight line. Let's step out of one dimension and into the real world.
Up to this point, you've probably been crunching numbers for 1D collisions. You know, like 2 train cars bumping on a single straight track, just moving back and forth. But 2D collisions? They're a whole different beast. Objects strike each other and glance off sideways into a flat plane. Suddenly, we have to track things scattering both horizontally and vertically at the exact same time.
Now, to keep the math from turning into a total nightmare right out of the gate, we use a neat little trick called a point mass. This is just a perfectly structureless particle that literally cannot rotate or spin. We're deliberately ignoring the crazy stuff like the backspin on a cue ball so we can zero in on just the pure linear direction of the scatter.
Part 2. Splitting the x and y axes. Divide and conquer. Let's see how we actually build the formula for this.
Here is the absolute best trick in physics for solving these problems: picking a smart coordinate system. Step 1, we pretend our target object is sitting perfectly still. Step 2, we essentially rotate our imaginary graph so the incoming object is traveling directly along the horizontal x-axis. And step 3, we split the collision into 2 separate, totally manageable math problems by solving for x and y momentum simultaneously. Divide and conquer, right?
Since we know overall momentum is always conserved, let's build our x-axis equation first. Initial horizontal momentum, mass 1 times velocity 1, equals the final momentum of both objects. See that cosine in there? We use cosine because it mathematically isolates just the horizontal left to right speed of those objects after they bounce off each other.
Okay, wait, this is super important. Here's a question I hear all the time from students. If the x-axis has an initial momentum value, why is the initial momentum for the y-axis exactly 0 before the crash?
Well, the answer is, we rigged it. We specifically aligned our coordinate system earlier, so the first object moves perfectly flat along that x-axis. It has exactly 0 vertical up and down movement. And the second object is just sitting there. So by setting up our graph this way, we essentially hack the problem to make the math way easier for ourselves.
Because of that, our y-axis formula kicks off with a big, beautiful 0 on the left. Then, on the right side, we just swap in the sine function to calculate the vertical spread. Boom! Now we have 2 simple, parallel equations, one for the horizontal x and one for the vertical y.
Section 3. Solving a real collision. The darkroom experiment. Let's actually put this to work.
Picture this. You slide a 0.2500 kilogram object into a pitch-black room at exactly 2 meters per second. You can't see a thing, but you hear a crash. It hit a slightly heavier 0.4000 kilogram stationary object. Then your first object comes sliding back out of the darkness at a 45-degree angle, slowed down to 1.5 meters per second. The mystery here is, what happened to that second object we can't see? What is its final velocity and angle?
This is where our divide and conquer strategy pays off. We take our y equation, divide it by our x equation, and do some basic algebra to isolate the angle. When we crunch the numbers, we get a tangent of negative 1.129. Take the inverse tangent of that, and we find our invisible object must have shot off to the right deep into the 4th quadrant at about 312 degrees.
And now that we have that 312-degree angle, we literally just plug it back into our simple y-axis equation to find our last unknown. The unseen object's final velocity comes out to exactly 0.886 meters per second. Think about that. Just by measuring what went into the dark and what came out, our 2 equations let us perfectly map a collision we didn't even see happen.
Moving to part 4, the 90-degree pool rule. Equal mass elastic collisions. Let's bring this back to the billiards table.
Now you're probably wondering, what happens if we drop all the weird varying weights and just crash 2 absolutely identical masses together, like standard pool balls? And let's say the collision is perfectly elastic, meaning absolutely no kinetic energy is lost to heat or that classic clacking sound.
Well, if internal kinetic energy is perfectly conserved here, the laws of physics say there are only 3 possible things that can happen. 1, a dead stop. The incoming ball transfers all its energy head-on and freezes in place. 2, a total whiff, meaning it completely misses. Or 3, and this is the really cool one, they strike and split apart from each other at exactly a 90-degree angle.
For the energy and momentum math to perfectly balance out for 2 identical objects, the separation angle has to follow a strict rule. The cosine of angle 1 minus angle 2 has to equal 0. And what angle gives you a cosine of 0? Yep, exactly 90 degrees. This is the exact reason why, unless you put some wild English or spin on a cue ball, it'll pretty much always bounce off the target ball at a perfect right angle. It's literally hardwired into the math.
Finally, Section 5. From billiards to atoms, the big picture. Let's summarize why this matters way beyond a casual game of pool.
Okay, here are your big takeaways for today. Whenever you need to solve a 2D collision, always break that complicated motion into your perpendicular x and y axes. Rig your coordinate graph so the initial vertical momentum is mathematically 0. Save yourself the headache. And always remember that perfectly elastic collisions between equal masses will separate at a beautiful 90 degrees. But this isn't just a party trick. Using these exact same 2D scattering formulas on subatomic particles is how the famous physicist Ernest Rutherford literally discovered the atomic nucleus. He bounced helium nuclei off gold foil and measured how they scattered. It was the exact same concept as our dark room experiment. The math that governs a pool table is the exact same math that unlocked the fundamental structure of the universe.
So we've totally mastered predictable, solid point masses today. But I want to leave you with this one thought. How on earth do we calculate momentum when an object isn't just bumping into stuff, but is actively exploding its own mass backwards to shoot itself forward? Think about a rocket launching into space. How do we map that momentum? Think on that, because we're going to tackle the wild math of rocket propulsion